Susan Mayer is not the lovable klutz the show wants you to think she is. I'm telling you right now, she might actually be the worst mom on all of Wisteria Lane. And I say that knowing Brie exists. Welcome back to Mia Desperate. And today I need to talk about something that has been eating at me since my last rewatch of Desperate Housewives. I grew up loving Susan. She was clumsy, she was sweet, she fell into bushes trying to spy on Mike. That was the whole vibe. The show packaged her and Julie as this cute mother-daughter best friend duo, and for years, I just accepted it. The wise little daughter, the goofy single mom, everyone on the street saying, "Oh, Julie is so mature, Susan must be doing something right." I bought it. I bought all of it. But here is where my brain short-circuited. On my fifth rewatch, I started paying attention to what Julie was actually doing in those early seasons. And it is not cute. It's honestly kind of horrifying. Julie wasn't mature because Susan raised her well. Julie was mature because Susan forced her to be the adult in that house. There's a word for what was happening to that kid. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. You will never watch a Susan scene the same way again. So I want to walk you through 3 things. I noticed that completely flipped how I see this character. The weaponized helplessness thing. The hug scene that I used to think was funny and now makes me feel sick. And then the finale season moment where Julie finally snaps and says the line that basically diagnoses the whole relationship. Stick with me because the third one hits different once you understand the first 2. Okay, so let's start with the thing that is hiding in plain sight the entire first season. Susan cannot cook. Susan cannot clean. Susan cannot manage money. The show plays this for laughs constantly. Remember the pilot? She brings that macaroni and cheese to Mary Alice's wake, and it literally makes Mrs. Huber sick. Everyone jokes about it. Mike jokes about it. It's her thing. Susan is the adorably useless one. But here's what I never thought about before. If Susan can't cook, who was feeding Julie? Actually, who was making sure this child ate dinner every night? And the answer the show quietly gives you, if you're paying attention, is nobody. Julie was eating cereal for dinner, not as a fun treat, as her actual meal, because her mom wouldn't make food. Julie talks about this later on. She talks about how after Carl left, Susan would stay in bed for weeks. And an 11 or 12-year-old Julie was paying the bills, balancing the checkbook, doing the laundry, and booking her own doctor appointments. I mean, think about that for a second. A literal child was balancing a checkbook. That is not a quirky single mom household. That is a kid raising herself while her mom has a breakdown in the next room. And here's the part that bothers me the most. The show frames Susan's incompetence like it's charming. Oh, she's just a disaster, isn't it cute? But it's not cute. It's this thing where, if you act helpless enough, other people just have to pick up the slack. And in Susan's case, the person picking up the slack was her kid. Julie didn't get to be bad at school. Julie got straight A's. Julie didn't get to throw tantrums. Julie didn't get to have bad days. Because if Julie fell apart even a little, that whole house would collapse. That is a massive amount of pressure to put on a kid who should have been worrying about, middle school drama, and whether her crush liked her back. Honestly, this is just my opinion, but I think this is why Julie always feels a little bit sad in the early seasons. Even when she's smiling, she's not actually a happy kid. She's a kid who figured out that her happiness depended on her mom not falling apart. So she made herself small and perfect so that wouldn't happen. And look, if that was the whole story, it would already be pretty dark. But the cooking and the bills, that's just the surface. That's the easy stuff to see. The part that really messed me up on my rewatch is what Susan was doing to Julie emotionally. And there is one scene in particular that I used to laugh at, and now I genuinely cannot. So here's the scene. Season 1, Episode 15. Susan just found out Mike has this whole hidden criminal past. She's devastated, she's crying. Her whole fantasy of this perfect guy just imploded. A normal adult in that situation calls a friend. She's got Brie right across the street. Lynette is literally next door. Gabby is right there. She could call any of them. She doesn't. She goes home and she starts yelling. And what is she yelling? She's screaming, "Julie, mommy needs a hug. Mommy needs a hug." And when Julie isn't home, Susan doesn't go, "Oh, okay. My teenage daughter has her own life. Let me handle my feelings like a grown woman." No, she looks out the window, sees that Julie is at a party across the street, marches over there, and physically pulls her daughter out of a normal teenage social event. Because mommy needed a hug. I used to think this was a funny bit. Haha, Susan is so extra. But I promise you, once you really look at it, it is not funny at all. Because think about what just happened. In a normal family, When a kid is scared or hurt, they go to their mom and their mom hugs them and makes them feel safe. That is literally the job description of being a mom. Susan flipped it. Susan made her daughter the source of comfort. She made Julie the emotional safety blanket. And she did it so aggressively that Julie wasn't even allowed to have her own social life if Susan was having a bad night. And I noticed something else too. Julie was supposed to be at a party, like a teenage party with her friends. That is such an important thing for a kid that age. That is how you learn how to be a person. That is how you figure out who you are outside of your family. And Susan just walked in and ripped her out of it because her own feelings were louder than her daughter's entire developmental stage. It didn't even occur to her that Julie might need that party more than Susan needed that hug. Because in Susan's brain, Julie's needs don't really exist as a separate thing. Julie's needs are just a resource she can tap into whenever she's sad. It gets worse, by the way, because when I heard it on my rewatch, I literally paused the episode and just sat there for a minute, because it is the most devastating line in the entire show, and I don't think most people realized what was actually being said. Fast forward all the way to season 8. Julie's an adult now, she's come back home and she's pregnant, and she's made this really mature, really painful decision that she wants to put the baby up for adoption. She's thought it through. She knows she's not ready. The dad is Porter Scavo, who is basically a child himself. Julie wants to give this baby a real shot at a stable life with parents who actually plan to be parents. And what does Susan do? I swear, if I wasn't already mad at Susan, this arc would have done it. Susan pretends to support Julie, but behind her back, she is actively sabotaging the adoption. She tells Julie that perfectly nice candidates have serial killer eyes, which, come on. She finds out that Porter is the father and goes and tells Porter, knowing full well this kid cannot handle a baby. She tries to make her own daughter look mentally ill in front of the adoption agency. Her own daughter, just so she can have a grandchild to play with. That is so selfish, I don't even have the words. And the whole time, Susan keeps telling Julie, "Oh, sweetie, being a single mom isn't so bad. I did it, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me." Which, I mean, yeah, of course it was the best thing for you, Susan. Because your kid raised herself. Your kid fed herself. Your kid was your therapist. Of course single motherhood was fun for you. You weren't actually doing it. And this is where Julie finally breaks. After years, and I mean literal years, of swallowing all this and being the perfect little adult, Julie looks her mother in the face and says, "Because I already raised a child. You. I already raised a child. You." Like, I don't even know how to explain how hard that hit me. In 6 words, Julie just laid out the entire truth of their relationship. She's not refusing to be a mom because she's selfish. She's refusing because she already did the job. She already spent her entire childhood parenting a grown woman who was supposed to be parenting her. And now that grown woman is standing there trying to guilt her into doing it all over again with an actual baby. And Julie just can't. She's empty. There's nothing left in the tank. Susan drained it all 20 years ago. And here's the part that honestly makes me the maddest. After Julie says this, Susan doesn't get it. She doesn't have a moment of realization. She doesn't cry and apologize. She just looks confused and kind of hurt, like Julie is being mean to her for no reason. That's the whole tragedy. Susan never ever figures it out. She goes to her grave in the finale thinking she was a great mom. She tells everyone she and Julie had an amazing relationship. She really believes it. And that is somehow worse than if she was just a villain. Because a villain knows what they're doing. Susan is just so deep in her own feelings that her daughter was never even a real person to her. Just a support system with legs. Oh, and one more thing that really proves my point. When Susan has her second kid, MJ, with Mike, watch how differently she treats him. MJ is allowed to be a kid. MJ gets to have tantrums. MJ gets to be upset. When Mike dies, Susan wraps herself around MJ and protects him and lets him feel everything, which is what a mom is supposed to do. But when Carl died, there is not one scene, not one, where Susan checks on Julie. Her daughter just lost her dad, and Susan doesn't even ask how she's feeling. Because Julie's job was never to have feelings. Julie's job was to manage Susan's feelings. MJ got a mom. Julie got a roommate who cried a lot. So yeah, that's my big Susan realization. And I know, a lot of people are gonna say I'm being too harsh. She was just a goofy single mom doing her best. The show is a comedy, lighten up. And I get it, I used to feel that way too. But once you notice what's actually happening, you can't pretend anymore. Susan wasn't a quirky mess. She was a woman who used her own child as a life raft, and then acted shocked when the kid grew up and didn't want to drown twice. And honestly, I think that's why the writers gave Julie that line in season 8. I think somewhere deep down, the show knew what it had been doing to her the whole time. It just took until the last season to say it out loud. Now when I rewatch the early episodes, I don't see a cute mother-daughter duo. I see a scared little girl making dinner out of cereal while her mom cries in bed upstairs. And I see a grown woman who never once thought to say thank you. That's the real tragedy of Susan Mayer. Not that bad things kept happening to her, but that the best thing in her life was a kid who raised herself. And Susan took all the credit.